All right. So what is up, everybody? How was everybody doing tonight? Definitely appreciate it. Men's Weekly Zoom. I'm Johnny, Double Diamond Leader here with It Works. And we are very, very blessed to have Chad Kneller with us tonight. Chad's a beast. Chad's awesome at this business. Him and Jeree are very, 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 very loved. And they've got they've got an incredible story, a lot of insight on the business, how to hit this business running. And definitely one of the first that I wanted to reach out to and was super excited whenever he was, more than willing to jump on the Zoom with us, guys. So he's definitely going to drop some nuggets for you guys. Chad, you just want to kind of give them a little bit of background information as how you guys got started a little bit. You can do short version, fast version, whatever you want to do, man. And then we'll just kind of dive into some questions and go from there.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll go back just a tiny bit. So for me, kind of funny. I didn't know what I wanted to do out of high school, so I decided to join the Army. I just saw a table one day, and they said, "Hey, we'll pay you $22,000 if you go into the Army for 3 years." And I was like, "Okay, sounds good," because I had no clue what I wanted to do. Everybody said you should go to college, but I didn't want to just go and not know what I was doing there. So went into the Army, and I got out of the Army, and I was at this place called Bombay Bicycle Club, and I ran into an old coworker who I'd worked at when I was in high school at McDonald's with. And she said, "Hey, what are you up to these days?" And I said, "Just got out of the Army and getting ready to go to college." And she said, "Do you keep your income options open?" I was like, "Well, yeah, doesn't everyone?" And so I went over to their house, and her husband basically handed me a magazine. He said, "Pick out your favorite car." And so I flipped through it and said, "This car looks cool." And he said, "Pick out your favorite house, pick out your favorite boat." And so I had all these things. And he said, "Well, how are you going to get that stuff?" And I was like, "Probably not, because this stuff's really expensive." And he said, "Well, if there was a way that you could get that stuff, would you want to know how to do it?" And I said, "Yeah." So he sat down, and he was the first person at age 22 who showed me network marketing. And of course, at the time, I thought, this is a no-brainer. Everyone and their mom's going to do this. And so I signed up all excited, and I went and talked to my first 10 people. And the only ones that signed up was my parents, because I have the type of parents that, they'll pretty much do whatever just to help out, right? So they bought some breath spray and some toilet paper from me, and I got a few more no's, and I said, "This is silly," and I quit. Few years later, a buddy of mine showed me the industry again, and again I thought, wow, this is definitely a no-brainer. Everyone's going to do this. Well, I kept going a little longer, and I think I made about $300, and then I quit. And in 2001. I finally met someone who had true success and became a mentor of mine. This guy he'd gotten in a lot of trouble after high school. First of all, he dropped out early. He said the first problem he had was not showing up. So dropped out of high school early, ended up getting involved with gangs, ended up going to jail for 3 years, and got out of jail working in a machine shop, making $9 an hour. And he found network marketing, and he had a great mentor. And when I met, his name's Josh. When I met Josh, he was already making 6 figures, and this is in 2001, and that was way more than I was making. So kind of jumped on with him and really learned from him. I learned for the first time what personal development was, and he pointed me in the right direction of some really good books. I started studying and reading Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, some guys like that. And I very quickly with that company got to making about $2,000, $2,500 a month, which at the time I was excited about, because I'd never made anything like that in this industry before. Well, 2005, or actually 2003 is when I met my wife, and we found out we were going to have a child, that we needed benefits and we needed to look into other options. So I went back into the Army in 2005 and ended up kind of slowly fading away from network marketing, focused on my military career. And when things got going, I joined another company number 4. This one was truly a no-brainer. I mean, this one was a fuel treatment company. You literally squirt this stuff in your gas tank whenever you're filling up, right? And you get like 100 more miles on a tank. And I thought, well, everybody who has a freaking brain is going to do this, right? Well, again, I got to a couple $1,000s a month pretty quickly, but everybody didn't do it. I mean, I had the same as anything. I had to sort through and find some people who, in my opinion, just had a brain for being an entrepreneur, who could walk away from the masses and say, hey, there's a better way than just 9 to 5 working for a check. So got involved in that, and now I'm in the Army working 12-hour days. I'm coming home from work, and I'm on the phones, and I'm emailing, and because we didn't have a whole lot of, there wasn't like Facebook and stuff yet then really. So I'm doing all this stuff, and it's causing friction in my marriage because I'm newly married and I'm in the Army and I'm gone all the time anyway. And now here I am at home, and, you know, my wife wants to like watch a movie, and I'm like, you know, making phone calls and emails and stuff like that. So we went to counseling, and basically through that counseling process, I decided to focus on my military career and be done with this whole idea, you know, this pipe dream, right, of network marketing. And so you can imagine my surprise in 2012. And at this point, I'm literally preparing for a deployment to Afghanistan because I'd become an officer by this point in the Army. And a friend of my wife had tried the wrap. She just had her 6th baby. They have 9 now, number 10 on the way. Okay. Some of my wife's best friends. A little crazy, but most of my close friends are a little crazy. Right. So number 6 she just had number 6, and she's like, I tried this wrap and I'm recovering faster than the other 5 babies. And of course that was enough for my wife to want to try it. Right. So she signed up as a customer and said, if we like this is network marketing and there's a business attached to this. And so, you know, I thought once again, is that maybe this is the one, right? Because I was always the guy that had this idea of being an entrepreneur. So we jumped in, and my wife had incredible results right away. My mother-in-law had incredible results. My sister had incredible results. So all I did was had those 3 pictures, before and after pictures in my phone. I started showing them to everybody at work. By then I loved the greens, so I made sure everybody saw me drinking the greens. So, because I knew they'd ask, what in the heck are you drinking? Because if you have a water bottle and you put some greens in there and shake it up, you don't see people walking around with the swampy looking water like you have, right? So they're going to ask, right? So I'm walking around and they're asking me, what is that? I'm like, this is my, it's called greens, and it gives me energy. Only it's half as expensive as what you're spending on those energy drinks, and it's twice as healthy. So every single person wanted to know more, and I signed up most of my coworkers with greens right away because it was just a no-brainer. And I loved it, and I was excited about it. So we, you know, our first month, we put a wrap on over 50 people. And basically we used the my wife wrap and I yap method for the most part. So she would wrap them. They would be sitting there. I would read the party pad to them. And we were signing up almost everybody on wraps and greens because that's all we knew in the beginning. That's what we liked. And, of course, as we started to learn and Fat Fighters kind of came on next, we started selling a lot of skinny packs for the 80 BV. We love we could get 80 BV from that. And 50 people, we wrapped our first month and went Emerald. My wife went Emerald, I went Ruby. Month number 2, she went Diamond, got the $10,000 bonus. I went Emerald. And so we were doing pretty good. You know, we're making 2,500 plus after our second month. And then I had to deploy on our 3rd month. So our goal that month was before I deployed to get me to Diamond. We didn't quite make it. I deployed. While I was deployed, my wife literally did nothing because she was just crying and taking care of the kids. And she, you know, she didn't think I was going to have to deploy. And when I did, she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it would happen. So we have our son who's 6 now. He was 2 at the time, and he had to have a life-saving surgery. And through that process, the Red Cross allowed me to come home from the deployment. And I was only supposed to be home initially for 2 weeks, but I was able to stay home indefinitely and take over as the Rear D commander for my unit. And that allowed, and that I came home literally on Christmas Eve in 2012. So that allowed us to go to conference in 2013. And everything changed for us at conference. I kind of want to give you this backstory so you understand that I'd already gone through all this stuff, all this quitting and restarting and quitting and dreaming and giving up on my dreams and all this for like a decade, right? So and then I'd kind of sold out to the Army. I was like, the Army's the deal. I'm going to do 20 years in the Army, but things were starting to happen in the Army that made me question if I should do 20 years in the Army. Like our family's growing. And my time freedom is getting smaller and smaller because as you promote through the military, you have less and less time freedom. You make more and more money, which is great, but less and less time freedom. And I was field artillery. So we're gone 2-3 weeks in the field. You know, we're doing all this stuff. Have plans that night to go to a movie with my wife, and I get a call and can't go on my way to church on a Sunday and find out a soldier got arrested and I have to drive 2 hours to Myrtle Beach to go pick him up. Crazy stuff like that happens all the time, right? So this for me was kind of like the last straw when I was deployed and my son was sick and I just wanted to get home. And the Army said, well, you need to fly the wrong direction, like 18 hours the wrong direction to go turn in your weapon and fill out some paperwork. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So by the time I finally got home on Christmas Eve, a couple weeks later was conference. So I'm at conference. I'm already thinking, we played around. We went diamond with It Works, making a couple $1,000s. But I was making like $8,000 a month in the Army. So it wasn't like I was just going to drop the Army for a couple $1,000s. So we were there. And at that conference, I don't know if any of you were there, but that was 2013. Dave Ramsey's daughter. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Dave Ramsey. He does Financial Peace University. Just a great guy if you're looking how to handle your finances and stuff. Check him out. So his daughter, Rachel Cruz, was there, and she started talking to us about becoming debt-free. And I thought, I don't even know how much debt we're really in, but I decided to figure it out. So I'm looking into it all and wrote down, and I knew we were like $32,000 in debt. So our goal became to pay it off by the end of the year. Well, at the end of that conference, Mark says, if you go triple by the end of March, I'll give you a $25,000 bonus. And we're like, is it possible? And we had seen all weekend people do what I thought was impossible before I went to conference. And now I knew it was possible because they're human beings and they did it. And I thought, if they could do it, we can do it too. So we came home and we worked our butts off. We went triple diamond with a couple days to spare in March. And then he extended the bonuses and said, if you go presidential, get a $50,000 bonus. So I went triple then and got the 25. Dree went 50. And we went from being diamonds to number 13 in the company in the 101-day period because we decided to give it all we had, like every day, as often as we could. And remember, I was still in the Army, so I have my responsibilities with the military. But I'm telling you, we'd be doing calls during my lunch breaks. I'd be skipping lunch sometimes, going all day with no food because food didn't matter to me at that point. What mattered was how far can we go? How fast can we get there? And literally after that 101 days, I turned in my packet to get out of the military. And 6 months later, I got out of the military. And we have never, after that 90-day run, never made less than $20,000 in a month with It Works Global. And it all came, I can point back to that 101-day push. And that changed everything financially for us today. We have time freedom. We have financial freedom. We homeschool our kids. So this morning we took all of our kids horseback riding lessons. We have our own horse now. And then Melody McFarland was having this deal. So we came over here later tonight. And it's just, now we can design our life however we want to design our life. And so it's a beautiful thing. But I know, Johnny, you got some questions. So I would love to get into that and help all these guys out as much as I can.
Sure. No, man, I love your story. I definitely love your story. And I'm seeing it too. People are commenting. We definitely appreciate your services with the military for sure. That's always great, man. It's funny, I find that I think everybody that I pretty much talked to so far, and most of the men in the company, the story is very, very similar from the start. The wife tried the product. So guys, this is the importance of getting the wrap on people. Like the wrap sells it. It does. Everybody that I've talked to has been like, yeah, we tried the wrap. We were blown away by the results. That shows that. That's the proof in the pudding. That's why we tell, blitz, wrap, and repeat. It's that simple. You get the wrap on people, they fall in love with the results, and they see the vision. You never know where it's going to go from there. And no, that's great, man. I definitely love you guys' story. Touching base on when you guys first get your distributor signed up, how do you start your new distributors? What's you guys' process for getting your new distributor started that you have found that has been the most effective? Because I'm sure, given the time, you guys have tried a lot of different types of scenarios, but what do you guys feel is the most effective for getting your distributor started?
Well, the first thing we want to do is get them plugged in. You want them to download the Wired app. There's that picture, right, that corporate put out of those like 6 things that you should do right away. So you definitely want to give that to them. One thing we always do is we say, are you up for a challenge? Because if you don't ask someone if they're up for a challenge, automatically people think they got to wait for their kit to start. You don't want them to wait for their kit to start. You want them to get moving right now. So we always offer a challenge. Everybody always says, yeah, I'm up for a challenge. And our challenge, and I always say it the same way, starting at midnight tonight, we're going to give you 72 hours to sign your first 4 loyal customers. And when you do that, we're going to get you any shirt from the It Works store. Okay, that's what we do. Now, maybe for you can't afford a shirt from It Works store, so maybe you say a $20 gift card, whatever. Is it worth it when you know you're going to get a $100 fast start bonus? Of course it's worth it, because you'd rather make $100 and give them a $20 whatever than they not fast start qualify, they quit. And even if they don't get their 4, a lot of times they're still in 72 hours going to get their 2 or 3, because most people are going to have a mom or a dad that's going to sign up, and a brother or sister is going to sign up, and a best friend is going to sign up. You know, we always say, who's on your chicken noodle soup list if you have the flu and you're sick? Who would bring chicken noodle soup over tomorrow? If you had to move unexpectedly next weekend, who could you count on to come over and help you move? And those are the people you're going to reach out to. And you're basically just saying, I'm excited to start a new business, and we sell health and wellness products. I know we have something that would help you. Can I count on you for your support? And that's the key question at the end of it. Can I count on you for your support? Because these are people that love you, trust you, and know you and like you. And they're probably going to count. You're probably going to do something for you, even if it's just, hey, they're going to get some fat fighters to help you out. Someone will even respond and say, how much is this going to cost me? Because maybe they've helped that person out 15 other times. But the deal is here is to not make it a big deal. Be normal, not make it a big deal. So that's usually going to get the first couple in the first 72 hours. Now, the next thing we say, and this is the key, is that we want to be involved in the process. We let them know, hey, we're your sponsors, so we're going to help you through this process. So we want you to message this to, the top 20 people that you think would be a customer right away. We give them a specific script, right? And we want you to screenshot their response and send it to us. So now they're not going to say something dumb. They're not going to give the person a fire hose to the face and answer 50 questions that their sister or mom didn't even ask and talk themselves right out of someone signing up with them. Okay, the key here is that you're involved in the process, that you're leading them and guiding them and coaching them through the process. So when they come back and they say, what do you have for energy? Your new person probably doesn't know what I have for energy. So you can give them a couple different options. We have this, this, and this. And then eventually you're going to say, how much does it cost? Because everybody wants to know what it costs. And you're just going to say, if it's wraps, for example, $99 retail or $59 as a loyal customer. That's it. Because we already know you're basically dropping breadcrumbs and they're walking right down the trail. It's almost exactly the same conversation most of the time. So now they're going to say, what is a loyal customer? So the next response, you give them the information of what a loyal customer is, and you just walk them right down the path till they make a decision if they're going to get signed up now, or if they're going to get signed up later, or if they're not going to get signed up. And the key is not being attached to their decision, right? We teach our team that everyone has to learn how to discipline their disappointment, right? Because what we want to avoid rejection. Here's what everybody wants. Everybody wants everyone they talk to sign up. That's never going to happen. So we always try and find shortcuts to avoid rejection, when ultimately what we have to understand is rejection is part of the process. There is no success without failure. It's impossible. And I love in baseball, because in baseball they call it batting average. In baseball, if you bat 300, if you get 3, if you're going to base 3 times out of 10, you're a multi-millionaire. Right? That means you let everyone down 7 out of 10 times. You come up to the plate and you blow it. Your team loses because you didn't get on base.
And you make it to the Hall of Fame that way.
Exactly. And you make it to the Hall of Fame. And what I can tell you is, if you can get that good in network marketing, if you can get 3 out of 10, you can become a multimillionaire. So don't ever try and even think it's going to ever be possible to get 10 out of 10, because you're not. The key is to figure out what your ratio is. And once you know what your ratio is, it's going to probably continue until you get better. Then it'll get a little better. So if you know your ratio is 1 out of 10, or let's say you're just awesome. You're 9 out of 10. I'm 1 out of 10. Well, if we have a 30-day contest, I can beat all of you, because I can make up in numbers what I lack in skills. So maybe Johnny talks to 10 in the month of June and he signs up 9. Well, I can talk to 100 and sign up 10. So the key here is to discipline your disappointment. Not ever get emotionally attached to anyone's decision, and just to set your goal of how many new people you're educating through the process. And all we do is we educate people on what we have, and we collect their decisions. And the more you educate, the more yeses you get, flat out. There's no way around that.
I love how you said that there too. If you're figuring out, if you're, like the nine compared to, if you're talking to 10 and getting 9, and then, you know that you got to talk to 100. If you're getting 1 out of 10, that's brilliant, because it is the truth. And, the company sets you up for success. They show you the roadmap. It's right there. You see everything that you need to do. You know what you need to do as far as them laying everything out there. So when you're getting these the new distributors started, what do you think is what's the one mistake that you notice the new distributors make the most frequently?
Probably just winging it. Just going out there and puking, I call it puking, right? Puking all over their friends and family and like just kind of like I did. And I can relate because that's what I did when I first started this industry. I didn't have a good mentor. Like I said, it took me until my third company to actually have someone that told me, don't puke on your family. Don't go out and try and make it all about you. They taught me third party is the best party. And then if I can be a good tour guide, you guys know that what was that big boxing promoter, Don King, right? Don King never took a punch, and he made way more money than any of the other boxers. And all he had to do was say, do the promotion. He just had to point and be a good tour guide and say, oh, you got to come here and watch him. So if we get good at getting butts in seats at One Team, One Missions, or we get good at having someone read the rap magazine, right? Just if you got really good, think about this. If you got really, really good at having people read the rap magazine, so many of them would sign up. If we got good at having someone watch a 10-minute video or listen to a 20-minute pre-recorded call or any sort of third-party tool, sitting down at a coffee shop, pointing and reading the party pad, right? That's the duplication. That's the key. And honestly, it doesn't matter in this business what works. It matters what duplicates, because some of you on here might have a dynamic personality and you can just sign a lot of people up because of your personality. Well, guess what? The next person's going to go, I don't know if I can do what he just did. And I'll give you a good example of this. There's a lot of people, and you guys probably see this on your team. You'll have someone who's maybe a fitness instructor, right? Or a personal trainer. You have someone like that joins, and maybe they have a lot of health knowledge already. They know a lot about the body chemistry, and they have all this information, this knowledge in their head. And they can sit down with people and they can sign everyone up to be customers, but they don't sign anyone up to be distributors. And then they come to me and they go, man, I've got 35 customers. No one will become a distributor. And I'm like, well, that's easy. I know why. It's because you're doing too much. You're complicating this. You're intimidating people. People, when they're listening to you, are thinking, could I do what that person's doing? And do I want to do what that person's doing? And if the answer is no, you've lost them. They're gone. So, I'll say again, it doesn't matter necessarily what works in this business. It matters what duplicates. So that's why we have to constantly simplify, constantly dumb it down. Because if you're doing something that a dud can't do to a stud and enroll them in the business, then you shouldn't be doing it. And what I mean by that is, we have a 22-year-old on our team that's recruiting parents of her former friends because she's doing it the right way. And she's a, presidential diamond, top 150 last year, made almost $250,000. And her and her husband, they're 22. So they don't know anything about anything. They just know duplication, simplicity, share the tools, third party. So just remember, out of all that little piece right there, just remember third party is the best party. And if you're sharing things that someone else can share the next day and that they can share the next day, and you can be 5, 6, 7 levels away from you where you're not needed and it's duplicating, that's how you're going to grow an organization that gets away from you, where you have people being successful on your team you haven't even met yet, and maybe you won't meet for a long time.
I agree with that. I feel like a lot of times people, they overcomplicate. We will get people that will start with us, and from the start, they'll sign 10, 12, 13, 15 customers, and they sign them real quick. And they're like, man, this is easy. I love this. And then they start listening to this person and that person and this person and that person. They start trying to apply too much different stuff when they're not just keeping it simple. When you didn't know anything at all about the business, you were signing 10, 12, 15 people up. But now that you have the knowledge about the business, you're over here trying to over-explain it. You got to keep it simple. You got to keep it simple. That's one of the biggest things. I was one of those people. It wasn't duplicatable. I'm sitting down. If I'm talking to somebody, I'm going to talk to them about an hour because I am a nurse. I'm going to talk to you about why this does this and this happens with this. And it's like, man, that's just not easy. And I've preached simple, and you've got to be duplicatable. I mean, guys, too, that goes for if you're going and you're doing like demos, if you're going to set up a table somewhere, don't go to a demo and have a laptop and have one of every supplement out on the table and have all this, because people are going to look at that. And if you're trying to talk to them, they're going to go, man, that looks like a lot of money. That looks very, very complicated. I don't know if this is something that I can afford. And if it is somebody that is struggling financially that could use the business, but they're looking at it as, man, if I got to spend all that money, I may not be able to do this. You might have just lost out on a distributor right there. We've had people that have had that happen. And, it's all about duplication. I will firmly agree with that. You touched on events as well. Can you cover the importance of events for you guys? I love events. It's what got us going.
Well, events is solving 4 problems. When you go to an event, especially like a destination event, means that you're getting on a plane, you're getting in your car, you're traveling somewhere, you're spending the night there. It's just this whole process, like this mini workcation, or whatever you want to call it. So the problem we have always when anyone joins this business or anyone joins your team is there's a line that basically the day someone joins, there's a line. And if they go over the line one way, they're going to quit. So the key is to get them as further above the line, as far and as fast above the line as you possibly can. And how you're going to do that is by building their belief in different areas. Okay. And there's 4 areas. So you have to build their belief, first of all, in the products, because I've never known anyone have a high level of success that works who's not a product of the product. So that person, you have to be talking to them about what products are you excited about? What products are you using? Let's get them genuinely excited about the product. I hate when I go to a car dealership and I've got somebody trying to sell me something, like say you go to a Ford dealership. I'm not a huge Ford fan, but if you go to a Ford dealership and they're trying to sell you a Ford and they're driving a Chevy, it's like, dude, you're not serious about liking Ford, or you would own one, right? So someone who isn't using the supplements and isn't using anything that It Works has, they're just not going to have genuine excitement. You can't fake that. It's not fakeable. So when you go to the top leaders in the company, you go in their bathroom, you're going to see the facial cleanser, you're going to see the skincare line, you're going to see supplements all over the house, because that's just, you have to be a product of the product. And so when you go to like an event and you meet Dr. Don and Luis Mujares and the formulators, and they're describing how amazing this stuff is, that belief goes way up. You get more and more excited about the products you're already using and the products you're going to start using. So that's one area. Another area is the company. Why? There's hundreds and hundreds of network marketing companies. So what's to keep someone from bouncing from It Works to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing? Well, you have to build that person's belief in why It Works is superior to everything else that's out there. You have to help them understand the comp plan. You have to help them understand the culture, understand the vision. And that's why when someone goes to an It Works event, you start to see, the like guys from Children's Cup, or you start to see the It Works way, and just meet the whole family dynamic and atmosphere. It starts to build belief, and it starts to build loyalty with It Works Global. And what about network marketing? I mean, if you have a low belief in network marketing, you run into a few people that say that's a scam and that's not sustainable, and you start to challenge, your belief starts to get challenged. And so you have to help people understand that. There's a really good DVD, if you haven't seen it yet, called Rise of the Entrepreneur. You can go on YouTube or whatever, Google or whatever, and just Google it. And you'll be able to find Rise of the Entrepreneur. And that will, just watching that yourself will help you understand the industry, just the big picture of the industry. And that's just a great way to go through anyone's objections. If you can get them to watch it. Of course, some people just aren't teachable, right? But if you can get them to go through those objections and watch that DVD, it's going to help them out a lot. And then the fourth area, of course, is self-belief. Most people are they're really kind of controlled by their own self-imposed limitations, their own fear, and it's holding them back from a lot of stuff. And you have to help guide people through that. And that's just some of the challenges of leadership, is getting people to grow their belief in those 4 areas. And what's great is we don't have to do that when we just get someone to green carpet, right? All you got to do is get them there. They sit there and all this stuff happens to them while they're there. By the end, they're pumped. They believe in the company. They believe in the products. They believe in the industry. They believe in themselves because they've seen 100 people go across the stage, and they've seen a few that they think to themselves, if they can do it, I can do it. See, that's what the first conference we went to, I remember seeing Shelby and Tyson Bowman. And Tyson had been deployed in the military. I'd been deployed. And, while he was gone, his wife bought him a brand new truck, and it was completely paid off. And they were nervous as heck to be on stage. And I just remember watching them going, if they can do it, I know we can do it. And a few other couples that I really could relate to. But that's what happens for all of us. And that's the whole point of having a green carpet and going there live, right? And seeing people. And it's not just what you see on stage. It's who are you sitting next to? What's their story? Connecting with them. And when you go to have lunch and connecting with them and meeting some of your upline and your sideline and little tips and all the in-between stuff is where the magic happens. So events are huge. I would say events are the number one skill that makes you the most money in this industry. You get really good at getting people to show up at events, then you get to 100. You get 100 people on your team at one event spread over like 3 legs, and they're 6 figures all day long. That's kind of like the magic number. You just get 100 from your team. And, it used to irritate me when I first got in this business. I remember being on a conference call and they said, oh, don't you guys just love being tummy rappers, right? And I'm thinking, that's not who I am. I'm not a tummy rapper, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys would be kind of, you hear that term, you're like, yeah, I don't want to have like my name up here, Hey, Chad Kneller, tummy rapper extraordinaire. That's just not me. So how I've always looked at myself in this business as a recruiter, just like, and I've kind of approached it as if I was a recruiter for a professional football team. What would you do? You would go around, you would keep your eyes open, you would go and scout the colleges. And so I'm scouting all the time. I mean, we're out at a restaurant, I'm scouting. I'm thinking, could this person do it? Could this person do it? I'm on Facebook. Could this person do it? Do they have a strong, confident social media presence? Who do we want on our team? Who do we want to go after? And of course, I'll blitz here and blitz there and whatever, but there's people that I'm seriously targeting, that I'm constantly following up with, that I'm putting the information in front of. And sometimes there's been people that we've targeted, Dre and I, and it's taken us a year and a half to get them into our business. But we know it's just a matter of time, because we know their lives. We see the struggles they're going through, and we know that It Works could fix a lot of that stuff. So I just keep reaching out, confident that eventually they're going to join, because why wouldn't they? Time freedom, financial freedom. Majority of the world doesn't have it, and the track they're on now, they're never going to have it. So this just becomes more and more appealing to the masses while we're here, growing our empires.
I agree with that. The timing is everything, guys. I mean, Natalie was asked for a year and a couple of months before she ever even tried to rap, because we are fitness people. Like, that's our thing. We were always, we got to go to the gym. We got to take our supplements. We got to diet hardcore. And, eventually it's not, I guess, more or less you say, it kind of wears down on you, but it's one of those things where it's right place, right time. She tried to rap, and sure enough, there it was. And I will tell you guys, I didn't really see the vision of the business. I supported her in the aspect of, hey, babe, it's your business. If you can make an extra $500 a month, hey, do it. I'm not going to hate on you. I was never one that was like, no, you don't need to do it. But I didn't care. I was working 100 hours a week. We went to our first One Team, One Mission, and it was a bigger One Team, One Mission. I think there was probably like 200 people there, big one, here in Tampa last year in August. And that's where I was like, man, the energy here is crazy. Like, you get a group of like-minded people that all have the same goals, and everybody wants to go to the same place, and everybody wants to race that night. Everybody wants to race there. And when you leave, it's like, I mean, and something too. We actually, the One Team, One Missions, we had potentials that went with us. They were ready to sign up after that night. They didn't need any convincing. The event did the convincing for them. So, guys, if you've got a One Team, One Mission near you, they pop up all over the place. I think here in Florida, we have like 2 or 3 a month. They're literally all over the place. Go to One Team, One Missions. We've gone to 5 events this year. We've got Green Carpet coming up, which we're super pumped about. We're very, very excited. It's only like 45 minutes from the house for us. So we don't have a reason to not go. But they're great. Like, you will not have a better time than going to an event, and the energy and the inspiration and the mindset you have leaving these events it's unmatched. It's unparalleled. That's for sure. All right, giving you guys a success so far with the business, and how you guys have done with it. What are you doing to ensure you're continuing to grow and develop your leadership skills?
Well, so some of that is it's being intentional about your personal growth. So like one thing that we do, and I don't miss a day, and that we teach our team, is every single day, at least 10 minutes or 10 pages of personal development. And it could be in the morning, it could be at night. So, just getting that discipline. It's like we all eat every day. We shower, hopefully at least every few days, right? We all brush our teeth every day. So it becomes part of a discipline, really, because the only way you're going to grow is the books you read and the relationships that you develop, right? And while I'm talking about that real quick, some relationships need to be initiated, some relationships need to be cultivated, and some relationships need to be terminated. What I mean by that is, if you look at your circle and your guys you're with are all about, tension relieving, and there's no goal achieving going on there. So if they're about, hey, let's go golfing, let's all about the latest television show, all about, that kind of stuff, that's probably not helping you to get to where you want to go. So sometimes you got to reach out, and you have to bring those people into your life that want to go the same places that you want to go. And you have to be careful about who you give your time to. I had to learn in the beginning, there was people I was spending hours with that I had to start spending just minutes with. And there was other people that I needed to start getting around more. Like when it's kind of funny that I'm here now, right now at the McFarland's house, because they lived about an hour from us. But when I first met them, I thought these guys, they'd already, had months where they'd made like $80,000, $90,000 in a month. And I was like, these are the kind of people I need to take out to lunch. I need to be around. I need to sit the next table over and just listen to what they're saying. Because if I say what they're saying and I do what they're doing and I read what they're reading, I'm looking right now. They got this book sitting right here. What to say to yourself. What's it say? What to say when you talk to yourself. So I'm just a teachable person. I was like, I'm going to be a sponge. What's the last 3 books you read? If you go ask someone that who's made $50,000 in a month, what's the last 3 books you read? And then go get them and read them, right? If Mark Pentecost recommends a book, I'll tell you what, I'm probably the guy that orders it faster than anyone else. The minute he says it, I'm on my phone, Amazon, boom. I'm ordering that stuff right now, because that's success leaves clues. And it's okay to be a copycat if you copy the right cat. And so when you know who those people are, when you know Joel Dunn, he's another one. If he says, hey, this is a great book, boom, I'm getting it. Now, no other questions asked. I'm like, hey, he's #1 money earner, Black Diamond. That says it's good. I'm reading it. I'm not going and getting the book that my broke brother recommends. He says, hey, you should read this. It's helping me. I'm like, I'm not put that like number 57 on my list, because I'm like, don't mean nothing to me that you read that book.
Yeah,
right?
It's funny you say that. Whenever when we were at One Team One Mission in Orlando, Stephanie and Joel were there, and there was like 4 or 5 questions that were asked throughout the crowd, and I got to ask one, and that was literally what I asked him. I said, "Yo, if you don't mind, like, what do you do for self-development?" He kind of looked at me and gave me a weird look, and afterwards we went up and we talked to him, and he was just like telling me books. What did I do? I'm like, I'm going home. I'm trying to order these books. I totally agree with that. Yes.
Well, and what I love is to, and this is something Jim Rohn used to say all the time, to have more, you have to become more. And so the only way to become more is by growing our own knowledge, right? We have to have wisdom. We have to grow our pursuit of wisdom. And when we do that, then it just all starts to fall in place. You learn that one little thing leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. And it's how we grow. So it's something you have to be intentional about, though, because if you're not intentional about your growth, then you revert to form. Revert to form is looking for the path of least resistance, and we just kind of start drifting through life, and we end up just going where we don't want to go and driving what we don't want to drive, and and it becomes way too much of tension relieving and not enough goal achieving, because the price is always going to be paid. It's either going to be the price of discipline now, right? We pay the price to be disciplined now so that we can have an amazing life later, or we drift now and we live a life of regret later. There is no really in between. You got to do one or you got to do the other. And you guys are all here. So it's a Tuesday night at 10:15 where I'm at. So you guys are all on the right course, and you get it. You get that. So make sure that you're just growing. And here's something I love. If you just grow 1/3 of 1% every day, how much is that? That's someone cuts you off in traffic and you don't flip them the bird or lay on the horn, right? Even though you want to. And you're like, wow, normally I would, point him one way to heaven or whatever. And you don't do that this time, right? So that's 1/3 of 1%. After a year, you've changed. If you're just intentional about growing that tiny, tiny bit every single day, after a year, you're 100% better. After 5 years, you look back and you go, man, I'm not near the jerk I was as a husband. I'm teaching my kids so much better. I'm such a more confident person and just a way better business owner. And it's just a intentional path of personal development. And I think that's probably the single most important thing about all of this is, are you being intentional about your own growth? So just always remember that. That's It's so important, and you'll get it as you go. And maybe you have to read 3 books to get that one little nugget of download. Well, who cares? That's a nugget you wouldn't have. The book you don't read can't help you, so you have to just do it, right?
What are your favorite books, just out of curiosity?
Well, I always tell people, I think the first book that really changed my life, I'll give you 3. 3 of the first ones that I go back to and I like to teach and go back to and read is, number 1 is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Incredible book. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It's another amazing book. They actually have first sergeants study that now in the military. So that's just a huge book. John Maxwell has a whole lot of incredible books, but I'll say that the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership helped me a ton. And then Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. So there's 4. There's 4 incredible books that if you just consume those 4, teach some other people, it changed. Just read those 4. I've read all those 4 probably 4 or 5 times each. And at least a couple times I've taken other people through them and taught it, because you sometimes learn more by teaching other people, because you read it and then you go back and read it again to teach it, and then more of it sticks.
I agree. 21 Laws of Leadership is definitely, I think that and actually Dave Ramsey book, Entre Leadership, are probably my 2 favorite as far as for leadership development. And then, 7 Habits of Highly Effective or Highly Successful People was great. I have the audio. I mean, I think the audio book itself is only like an hour and 15 or an hour and 30 minutes. It's not very long. And I think it's available for download in the iTunes store. So it's literally, it's right there for you guys. Great books. Definitely all solid book choices for sure. What do you do? What's one thing that you guys do differently now than when you first started?
One thing we do differently.
The most important thing that you think, like, or better yet, we'll simplify it. What do you feel like now how do you leverage your time better with stuff that you didn't leverage your time? Like, how did you feel like you used to waste your time now? And then over time, you kind of figured like, all right, we're spending way too much time on this activity. We need to figure out a way to either leverage more time or eliminate it completely and then move on. Like, what do you feel?
Yeah. So I think for us, time management is a huge one, because in the beginning, especially in those 100 days, we were in a season where we said yes to everything business, right? And we were saying yes to everything business. That meant we were saying no to a whole lot of other stuff, and that was just a season to do that, because that was the season that we needed to stay laser focused for me to get out of the Army and to have all the stuff that we really wanted. So once we did that, so we did that run from Diamond to Presidential, and then we kind of hung out there for a while. And we're like, yeah, and we ramped back up for the next year to do a run from Presidential to Ambassador. That's kind of a big jump. And after that run, we were kind of like, what do we do now? And all we knew, I mean, back then we were like posting every hour on Facebook. I mean, it was insane. We were just
different Facebook world.
Like 4 hour. I mean, it was insane. We were working all the time. And then for a season there, we didn't really know how to do anything else. It was just yes, business. And so we had to regain alignment in our home. We have 3 kids too. We had to start saying yes to some things the kids want to do. We had to start giving time to the kids. So now we've gone through and we've really prioritized things. And so now the calendar is our boss, because if you don't, the cool thing about this and the bad thing about this, it works, is that you're the boss, right? That's a good thing that you're the boss, because you can sleep in as late as you want and do whatever you want. But it's a bad thing you're the boss, because you can sleep in as late as you want and you can get lazy for a long, long time if you want to. So we have our calendar as our boss. So once Jerry and I agree we're going to do something, it goes in the calendar, unless someone dies or unless some tragic, crazy stuff happens. That's happening. So, we protect that stuff. So if it's like a date night for Jerry and I, and there's a very important call that comes up, I can't do it during that time. And we've had people get offended before that have joined our business, and, they want access to us because of their personality type or whatever. They just feel like they need to have us on speed dial all the time. And I'm like, I remember one time a girl messaged me and I get back to her for 2 hours and she was so upset she quit. And I'm like, it's okay. Quit. because, I'm not your employee. I told you when I'm available, when I'm not available. So I guess that would be a big thing, Johnny, is in that first run, we were there available for everyone all the time, anytime. My attitude was, hey, if you have a prospect that you want me to talk to at 2 a.m. because you live in California, I'll talk to him whenever. Versus now we have to say no to a lot of things to say yes to the priority and the things that are most important to us.
But do you feel though, by making yourself so available to your team so readily, do you feel like that really did, if you would be doing things the way that you're doing them now, do you feel like you would have been able to make that 100-day push the way that you guys did? Or do you feel like it would have been maybe a little bit different outcome?
I think it would have been different because it was a different season. And, it was just at that point in time, both Jerry and I, we were in agreement that, hey, I mean, we'd go days where we hardly even ate, hardly even showered. I mean, it works like I'm telling you, we were doing more in a day than most people probably do in 2 or 3 weeks in one day. Just because our main core philosophy for that entire week was that we needed to get 3 to 5 people on the phone that were our prospects. And then in addition to that, we were talking to any of our team's prospects, because we do a lot of 3-way calls on our team.
Sure.
So we were doing 3 to 5 a day, like brand new people that we never talked to that we're talking to on the phone. And then, maybe 15 or 20 other people. I mean, I remember sometimes losing my voice, and I was just like, I had barely a whisper because I was on the phone all day talking to people. But I mean, our check went from, 2,500 to, after that third month, it peaked at like 40 some thousand as a presidential between Jerry and I, both of our checks. And I'm just thinking, this is freaking ridiculous. And then it was an easy decision to turn in my packet and drop the $8,000 the Army was giving me and the benefits and all that kind of stuff, because we were able just to make the transition, and it was really smooth. So that's a great question, man. I hadn't really thought about that one, but that's the first time I think I've been asked that.
I try to ask questions that make people tend to go, man, what kind of questions are these? Yeah, hey, if you want to be, I want to ask you guys questions, and I want to ask questions that make you really, really kind of dig deep, because I feel like that's how we're going to get the most benefit out of it. I mean, we don't want to watch the same Zooms over and over and over. I feel like, we're trying to get benefit out of all of it. When you guys are actually determining who are your leaders, we're real big on personality tests. We understand the importance of looking for red personalities whenever it comes to that personality test, so to speak. But how do you guys figure out who to spend your time with? Like, what kind of testing, so to speak, do you guys? What are the signs of a leader to you, to where okay, this is someone that I need to invest my time in with, because they're absolutely going to kill it with the business. Because I'm sure that you guys have had it. You've invested time with the wrong people. I mean, it happens with the business. What are the signs that you guys kind of specifically look for?
Well, for someone that's brand new, we tell them right off the bat, we're looking for people who are teachable, who are willing to work, and who have ambition. It's rare to find people who have all 3 of those. They're teachable, willing to work, and have ambition. And then once they're in the business for a while, I mean, the bottom line is, are they doing steps to success? And, we have a 12 group that Jerry and I do a Zoom with once a week. And to get into the group, they have to do steps to success to get into the group. And they have to do steps to success at least every other month. So if they miss it by a couple things 1 month, we'll let it slide. But if they don't do steps to success 2 months in a row, they already know part of the requirement is to get into the group. And, and it's rare. I mean, you have to recruit a lot of people to find. I think the statistics about, if you talk to 1,200, you'll get about 300 to join, get about 85 to do something out of the 300. You'll get about 30 that are serious, and then about 11 of them will be really serious and make you a millionaire. But the whole key to go back to is the 1,200. How long are you going to go through your 1,200 in 3 months, 6 months, 5 years? And once you figure that out, because it's all about what we're doing, not what our team's doing. I have this saying that it's believe in everyone, but count on no one. Don't make it someone else's responsibility for your success, because then you're just going to be upset with people all the time. It's your responsibility for your success. So when you look at a chart and you see what you need, that's what
you need. It's not anyone else's job to do what you need for your business. You're helping and encouraging them to do what they need for their business. And in that helping them, that's going to help you get further along faster. But don't ever say, I did this, so now my team needs to do this. It's always, as a leader, it's always, let's go do this. Let's go do the steps to success every month together, right? Not, I did it last month, now you need to do it this month, and I'm going to be your cheerleader. That's what we call management mode, and that's the beginning of the end for anyone's business.
Agreed.
Hey, my wife came in here and gave me the look, man, so I got like 5 minutes.
No, you're good. You're good. Not a problem. Let's see. What do you feel is the most important? What do you feel is the most important characteristic of a leader?
I would say discipline, resolve, and commitment. Commitment is doing what you said you would do long after the feeling you said it has left you. And I think of New Year's resolutions. About 80% of people quit on their New Year's resolutions. The world is full of joiners, and we're very short on finishers. So you're looking for people who are finishers, and who are the finishers? They're the people who are disciplined and they're committed, right? They're the ones that decide. I love that word decide, because there's the word homicide, which is the death of someone else. Suicide is the death to yourself. And then decide is the death to all other options. So when you find people that truly decide, they truly make decisions, then it's just a matter of time. Because the only difference between, the Duns and any of us is time and activity. They've talked to more people. They've done more phone calls. They've done more Zooms. They've done more blitzing. They've done more rapping. They've done more steps to success. And that's why they're where they're at. It's not because they're some superhuman special something. It's just because they've done more of the process, and they've done more of the activity longer and more consistent with high discipline. So we do what they do, and we can have what they have. And it really boils down to that. And what's great, success looks like this. Here you are now. Here's Black Diamond. We all want to go straight up, right? It never looks that way. It's messy. You go 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes you'll take 3 steps forward and 4 steps back, right? But as long as you're moving forward, and we call it failing forward, failure is the fertilizer of success. With no failure, there's no success. If without light, would there really be darkness? If you and I grabbed a football and we ran down to some college field, and I just picked the football up in the middle of the field and I ran to the end zone, is that really a touchdown? Or do I need to fight through the secondary and have 300-pound dudes trying to kill me and spin through them and take the hits, then go into the end zone, right? That's the true deal. So 2 more minutes.
Okay. Quick blitz tips.
Okay, so I saw someone ask this earlier, and I get it. The number one concern I always hear about is guys worrying about they're going to make someone feel like they're telling them they're fat and they're going to get slapped, right? So the easy way to get around that is say, who do you know? So show some pictures on your phone. Say, hey, if you're married, say, hey, I told my wife I would hand out a few coupons, and I'm just curious, I'm spreading this product around the area. Who do you know that for $25 would want to try one of these and see what their results look like? And a lot of times they're just going to say, well, me, I had one lady, she's like, well, I need about a whole truckload of those things. Look at this. And squeezing her own belly and shaking it around. And I'm just like, everybody loves these things. So that totally, just asking the who do you know, it's the indirect approach. That's an easy way to not offend people. And you can always go that route and go from there. So I would say that's the biggest thing. Who do you know?
Sure. Chad, I really, really appreciate it. I don't want Jerry to get mad. I do appreciate you jumping on. Are you guys coming down to green carpet?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
We're excited.
Yes, we will definitely see you guys there. Other than that, again, brother, I really, really do appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you. Any last words?
Just appreciate you guys having me on, and whatever you can believe for, it's possible. Just run after it. Go hard as you can.
I'm not mad. We just
I was like, no, I don't want Jerry to get mad. No, I know you guys are over at friend's house, and I don't want to take up your time. I completely understand. It's not a problem. No problem at all. I appreciate you letting him jump on.
Right on.
Yeah,
Good to see all you guys, man. Just keep after it. and just keep learning and keep moving and keep sharing, and you'll figure it out as you go, man. It's earn while you learn. And the fact that you're here now, just commit to this business. Be here for a year, at least a year, right? It's going to take a while to learn the skills. Dave Ramsey, took him about 10,000 hours to craft his profession before he got on the Oprah show and had the Oprah effect, and he's an overnight sensation, right? What'll happen is you'll go through this process, and then when you do become successful, people will think, oh, you're so lucky. And they won't understand that you've had to go through this deal. I shared with you guys from the beginning, a decade for me, 4 other companies, a very, very minimal success, but that was all just training. So remember, your journey is your journey. You see someone go crazy, you don't know their backstory, right? Your journey is your journey. Stay focused on what you want and just don't quit and keep driving forward, keep learning, and eventually you'll get there. All right, so take care, guys. See y'all later.
Take it easy.